I'm going all in on this one.
I need a straitjacket and a muzzle.
What the is right? Eat your banana.
This is out of control.
Peekaboo, come on, El Monte! Woo!
The dark horse candidate for the biggest star on Storage Wars might be Brandy Pasante. The lovable but feisty gal first made a name for herself as part of the Young Guns, a dynamic duo including Brandy and her partner in crime, Jared. But after their relationship went south, she came back on the show solo, until her life began to topple before her eyes. Her relationship with Jared soured, their businesses collapsed, and Storage Wars went off the air for several years. So, is Brandy Pasante crawling her way back to the top? Today we're answering all your questions about this bombastic beauty, Brandy Pasante. How did she end up back on Storage Wars? Did Jared really go to jail? Is Brandy single? And is Brandy Pasante suffering from a terrible disease? From Brandy's dark past to her bright future, we are leaving no stone unturned and no locker of secrets unopened. Before we crack it open, please give this video a thumbs up to show us some support, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new video. But now, without further ado, let's go find out.
What happened?
Brandy and Jared. In the early seasons of Storage Wars, Brandy was a package deal with her guy, Jared. Inseparable in love and business, they had ambitions of building an empire, but instead, they got disaster, financial ruin, and jail time. So how the heck did things go so wrong? Well, let's go back a bit. They met at a carpet cleaning business when Brandy was just 19. And after a lucky tip about a storage facility, they were able to open up their very own thrift store in California. Their business acumen and their charm attracted the eye of TV producers, who brought them on board what would eventually become the hit show that we all know and love, Storage Wars. Honestly, they were a typical American success story. Through hard work, quick thinking, and moxie, they were able to build a good life for themselves. They even nabbed their own spin-off show, entitled Married to the Job in 2014. It wasn't quite enticing enough for viewers. It was axed after just 8 episodes. But it was another feather in the cap for the couple. So, in short, Brandy and Jared were about as happy as a couple could be. Or were they? Because in reality, behind the scenes, disaster was looming, both business and romantic. What happened to Brandy and Jared? If you paid close attention, you might have seen it coming. In an early interview, Brandy described the difficulty of working with a spouse, talking about how difficult it was being together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But could things really be that bad? Well, let's take a look at the dark secrets lurking just outside the camera's view on Storage Wars. Because while Brandy and Jared seemed to be thriving financially, their balance sheets were telling a completely different story. In 2014, their first thrift store was shut down. By 2016, their second was also shuttered, making TV their only real source of income. And while their money was burning up, their romantic life was crumbling as well. By 2018, it was all too much to handle. Quietly, without making a fuss to the public, Jared and Brandy split up. But while this seems like it should have been a fresh start for Brandy, it was the beginning of a terrible nightmare. Because despite their breakup, Brandy and Jared were both still on Storage Wars until 2020. Tension on the set was at an all-time high, while the couple had bickered and bantered before. In fact, they were known for it. Now there was venom in every bite, every word, every interaction. It was a situation that just couldn't last. But honestly, few could have guessed just how bad it would get. Why did Jared leave Storage Wars? In 2021, Brandy gave an update about she and Jared. Brandy said that luckily she didn't run into him too often, but that things were still very tense. And she would turn out to be all too right. Later that year, Brandy and Jared somehow ended up in the same bar. Tensions flared and things got ugly quickly. Jared reportedly screamed at Brandy and then shoved her before fleeing the scene. Later that night, the Orange County DA charged him with domestic battery. If splitting up was the very last straw, then this was the last, I'm struggling to find a metaphor here. The last cup, I guess. Anyway, this was the sign to Brandy. She could never talk to that guy again. It was her final break with Jared, so it was kind of freeing. And so she got the word free tattooed on her finger next to a bird. She noted that people assumed she was just a big Lynyrd Skynyrd fan, but had no idea the immense significance behind that ink. How did Brandy get back on Storage Wars? The last few years have been good to Brandy. She has broken things off with that abusive ex. But how is her professional life going? Lucky for Brandy, Jared was not asked to return to Storage Wars for season 14 or 15, transforming the Young Guns to a solo shooter. But Brandy has had plenty of chances to fire off her trademark rapid-fire remarks. She's been frequently paired up with the lovable dork Bozic, and this partnership has proved both lucrative and entertaining. She's also developed a heartfelt friendship with castmate Kenny, who's famous for having absolutely no filter. And seriously, the two have great chemistry on screen. And if you've seen the show recently, you can attest. But their friendship has also leaked out into the real world. Brandy has said the two call or text almost every day. So, is this friendship just a friendship, or is it something more? Let's find out. Who is Brandy dating? Now that Brandy has finally gained her freedom, everybody wants to know who is the lucky guy in her life. There's been plenty of speculation. Some have suggested that Brandy might end up with Kenny Crossley, but we can say for a fact, Brandy is currently in a relationship with a man named Clifford Beaver. Luckily, Clifford seems to have no cards in the storage game. I think she has learned her lesson about tying work to her personal life. Instead, Clifford runs a bar and grill in Lake Forest, California, and all the photos seem to point to a very happy couple. And we here at What Happened can't be more happy for Brandy. For Kenny's part, he seems to have his hands full anyways.
Boom, shakalaka. I'm happy with that, bro.
You know, full of food, that is. Kenny's biggest passion outside the show seems to be his extremely active food review YouTube channel, in which he tests treats from apple fritters to Costco hot dogs, which are actually really great by the way. But while Brandy seems to be lucky in love, there is one very dark cloud hanging over her. Is Brandy sick? While Brandy finally seems to have found love, she's also got some problems more medical than heartbreak. Rumors have been swirling that Brandy is seriously sick. But are they true? Let's find out. Well, the same year she ended things with Jared for good, she contracted the virus that was shutting down the world. But she wasn't one of the lucky ones who just had a runny nose. She was hit hard by the virus and suffered from just about every symptom there is. Luckily, however, she did make a full recovery. But that wasn't the only serious health condition Brandy has been battling. You know how people are on the internet. They're sharper than Sherlock Holmes and a lot more annoying. One very observant internet user noticed that Brandy had a raspy voice during one episode. People wanted to know, was she sick? Well, Brandy has an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto disease. But while this sounds more like a roll of sushi than anything else, it's actually a very serious problem. When you have it, the body turns on itself, mistaking its own organs as threats. Brandy's disease targets the thyroids, which led to her voice being altered. But despite this, Brandy Pasante is currently in high spirits. She's got a good gig, a guy who treats her well, and 2 wonderful kids. Honestly, what else do you need? All Americans secretly think one thing. If you're on TV, you've made it in life. But I don't think this could be further from the truth. While Brandy has millions of fans around the world for her work on Storage Wars, she's also had to deal with a million problems in her time. But she's also proof that if you're sharp, kind, and most importantly resilient, you too can make it through the storm. Alright. Alright, that's enough of me. Now we need to hear from you. What do you think? What's your opinion on the latest season of Storage Wars? Or did you quit watching it when Jared was kicked off? Who is your favorite cast member on the show? And it better be Brandy Pasante. What's the coolest object you've seen them find in a storage container? Get in the comments and tell me all things Brandy and all things Storage Wars. Before you head to the exits, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel and come back often so we can keep telling you
What happened?